B.K.'s English Classroom. Let's learn with simple techniques by B.K.Masne.
Welcome friends. In this video lesson, we are going to learn about the second lesson from my English Coursebook Standard 9. Dear friends, this is the lesson which is titled as The Fun They Had, and it is written by Isaac Asimov. My dear friends, Isaac Asimov was an American biochemist as well as one of the renowned science fiction writers. He has written or edited more than 500 books in the field of science and science fiction. So, this man was a very remarkable man in the field of science and technology. In his writings, Isaac Asimov would write the futuristic changes, what science and technology would bring, the futuristic changes in different walks or different parts of human life. He has very beautifully presented in his writings. In this present lesson, The Fun They Had, Isaac Asimov has painted the picture of the world after 104 years later, and how science and technology would bring changes in the field of education. Though science and technology will bring changes in different parts of human life, still there are some issues of human emotions. Isaac Asimov has presented that issues of human emotions very beautifully in the present story. So dear friends, first of all we will have the model reading of this lesson, and later on we will see this lesson in detail. Thank you.
The fun they had. Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. On the page headed 17 May 2157, she wrote, "Today Tommy found a real book." It was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen, you know. And then when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time.
"Gee,"
said Tommy,
"what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away. I guess our television screen must have had a million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away." "Same with mine,"
said Margie. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. She said,
"Where did you find it?" "In my house."
He pointed without looking because he was busy reading.
"In the attic." "What's it about?" "School."
Margie was scornful.
"School? What's there to write about school? I hate school."
Margie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the county inspector. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. He smiled at Margie and gave her an apple, then took the teacher apart. Margie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how all right, and after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part Margie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. She always had to write them out in a punch code they made her learn when she was 6 years old, and the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Margie's head. He said to her mother,
"It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory."
and he patted Margie's head again. Margie was disappointed. She had been hoping they would take the teacher away altogether. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. So she said to Tommy,
Why would anyone write about school?
Tommy looked at her with very superior eyes.
Because it's not our kind of school, stupid. This is the old kind of school that they had hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
He added loftily, pronouncing the word carefully.
Centuries ago.
Margie was hurt.
Well, I don't know what kind of school they had all that time ago.
She read the book over his shoulder for a while, then said,
Anyway, they had a teacher. Sure, they had a teacher, but it wasn't a regular teacher. It was a man. A man? How could a man be a teacher? Well, he just told the boys and girls things and gave them homework and asked them questions. A man isn't smart enough. Sure, he is. My father knows as much as my teacher. He knows almost as much, I betcha.
Margie wasn't prepared to dispute that. She said,
I wouldn't want a strange man in my house to teach me.
Tommy screamed with laughter.
You don't know much, Margie. The teachers didn't live in the house. They had a special building and all the kids went there. And all the kids learned the same things? Sure, if they were of the same age. But my mother says a teacher has to be adjusted to fit the mind of each boy and girl it teaches, and that each kid has to be taught differently. Just the same, they didn't do it that way then. If you don't like it, you don't have to read the book. I didn't say I didn't like it,
Margie said quickly. She wanted to read about those funny schools. They weren't even half finished when Margie's mother called.
Margie, school.
Margie looked up.
Not yet, Mama. Now.
Said Mrs. Jones.
And it's probably time for Tommy too.
Margie said to Tommy,
Can I read the book some more with you after school? Maybe,
he said nonchalantly. He walked away whistling, the dusty old book tucked beneath his arm. Margie went into the schoolroom. It was right next to her bedroom, and the mechanical teacher was on and waiting for her. It was always on at the same time every day except Saturday and Sunday, because her mother said little girls learned better if they learned at regular hours. The screen was lit up and it said,
Today's arithmetic lesson is on the addition of proper fractions. Please insert yesterday's homework in the proper slot.
Margie did so with a sigh. She was thinking about the old schools they had when her grandfather's grandfather was a little boy. All the kids from the whole neighborhood came, laughing and shouting in the schoolyard, sitting together in the schoolroom, going home together at the end of the day. They learned the same things so they could help one another with the homework and talk about it. And the teachers were people. The mechanical teacher was flashing on the screen when we add fractions 1 upon 2 and 1 upon 4. Margie was thinking about how the kids must have loved it in the old days. She was thinking about the fun they had. Isaac Asimov. The fun they had. Glossary. Crinkly, full of wrinkles. Awfully, unpleasantly. Telebook, a book made available in text on a television screen. Attic, a space or room just below the roof of a house, often used for storing things. Scornful, disdainful. Punch code, coding information by punching holes in cards or paper tape in specified patterns. Loftily, airily, in a superior tone. Betch, surely. Dispute, argue, quarrel with. Nonchalantly, in an indifferent, cool manner. Tucked, folded. Arithmetic, the branch of mathematics dealing with the properties and manipulation of numbers.